Hello chaps, Troy Francis here. So listen, something a little bit different today. I recently met up with a good friend of mine, Air Singh, in London town. Now, Air Singh is a videographer. He's also a YouTuber. He's got his own channel. He's got a strong Instagram presence and so on. He's also a very good networker. Okay, he's very socially savvy. He's friends with a lot of big people in the social media world, including Hamza and various other high-profile guys that you will know about. And he's somebody who deeply understands social dynamics and intergender dynamics, okay? And he's also very good with the ladies. He's very good in a dating context as well, and he really understands all of that stuff. So we met up and we had a cigar and we decided, okay, look, let's record some content together. So we went to a location that he has, sat down, put the cameras on, and we just recorded a conversation, okay? Two of us just talking. We covered a whole bunch of stuff, including obviously dating, attraction, the relationship stuff, social media, how to network with powerful or influential individuals, so on and so forth. We covered like a whole load of stuff. I think you're really going to enjoy this. I think you're going to get a load of value from this content, okay? So do watch the whole video. And afterwards, firstly, make sure that you follow Air Singh on his different channels. I'll put the links below, but definitely his YouTube and also his Instagram. And, of course, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give us a like on your way out. And also comment underneath and let us know what you think about the conversation, what you think about the video. Anyway, here we go, guys. Enjoy.
Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Welcome to the podcast. I'm here with a very special guest today. Someone who I've been speaking to for a little while now and who I think is very knowledgeable in topics relating to this, and has been in the game for quite a long time, has quite a big social network, and social network as well. You're not doing bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is real Troy Francis, dating coach, relationship specialist. How would you like to be known?
Well, I think dating coach primarily. I've been in the game I've been doing actual dating coaching for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
I've been in the game, if you want to say that, like dating and out and about and all of that kind of stuff for, a long time, like longer than that. So I've got quite a lot of experience and, I've been I've written books about this stuff. I've done vlogs, I've done podcasts, I've got a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel. I've been sort of like coaching guys over the past decade, like in countries all over the world. So yeah, man, it's just always been kind of fascinating to me and something I've really immersed myself in over the years.
Over how many years would you say you've been in this?
Well, I've been doing it like professionally, like actually doing content and doing coaching guys probably about 10 years.
Okay.
But before that, I was out about dating and all that stuff. Before I was sort of like gaining experience and everything because I haven't been married or anything like that. Right. So I haven't, I've had long-term relationships. In a relationship now with my girlfriend, but I haven't really been off the market in that sense, if you know what I mean. So it's sort of like accumulated knowledge over the years. And I mean, I read the book The Game back in
of course, everyone who's part of it. Right?
So I read that like a lot of people did back in about 2005, and from there I I got involved with some people in London who were out and about and doing all that. So I kind of learned about social dynamics.
Got it, man. Yeah, so I feel like one question that I like to ask a lot of guys who've been in this space for a while, relationships, teaching, giving advice. How do you navigate relationships? How do you navigate long term? Because you said you're in a relationship right now.
Well, yeah.
We had a long conversation about this. And I want to just know a little bit more about that. So how do you navigate?
It's an interesting question. It's quite an apt question at the moment because my girlfriend, if she's watching, hello. It's definitely something that needs some navigation because obviously, I mean, the nature of my work over the last 10 years has been a lot of going out into the field, actually with guys, like maybe they're in a bar or in the daytime or whatever, they're engaging with girls and stuff like that. And, there's elements of that if you've got a girlfriend, she's not necessarily going to be on board with that. So I think it's more about figuring out, okay, what is acceptable to that person, what isn't, and then kind of figuring out the boundaries, because there's a lot of stuff that I can do, like, because when I was with her before, then we had a break and then we sort of back together, and I was with her before and I was doing the same thing, but I was doing less in-person coaching. Like I'd written some books, I was doing like online courses, I was creating content. I wasn't necessarily going out getting my hands dirty. So I think that is a bit more acceptable because it's not,
I understand.
So there's ways around it,
And there's ways to sort of navigate the relationship in like the sense that you have to sort of tell them as well what you do, and their families getting aware of
Well, that's a whole other.
I think the issue is, a big issue in this is that there's a stigma around being a dating coach, self-development coach. That it doesn't help us when there's people on YouTube making videos that just make the whole scene look a little bit bad.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing actually, because I was actually saying to my girlfriend, I was sort of saying, look, I mean, that, you know, this has a very, this has a bad reputation. But if you look at a lot of the content that I've done, if you look at the videos, what I'm saying is not actually
No, 100%.
bad, really.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it, like, as you know, a lot of it's about self-development. A lot of it's like, be the best person you can be.
Yeah.
It's not being disrespectful towards women. It's not, none of that stuff.
No misogyny.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there are obviously people out there who,
Yeah.
they do push those boundaries,
Yeah.
misogyny and stuff. I'm not about that, but you kind of get tarred with the same brush, don't you?
And I think I'm guilty of that a little bit as well, because you want things to go viral, you want to be
Yeah.
polarizing, because that's part of the game. That's part of the social media game. We spoke to a lot of people, I'm sure you have as well, behind the scenes, and you see like really normal people, but for the camera they just switch it on.
Yes.
They put a little bit of bravado on it, because I feel like that's what catches people, that's what gets attention, that's what gets views, right?
Yeah, you're right, because we're playing. There's two separate things. On the one hand, there's like what we actually think and what we believe and what we're trying to teach guys, and what we're trying to instill in guys. And like you were saying the other night, it's like really we're trying to, create quite a positive message here, aren't we? But then on the other hand, you've got to get attention, and you've got to try and draw attention to yourself. And unfortunately,
but I think that a lot of the things that when people actually watch our videos, because I've lost females over this stuff as well. I make content online. They're like, okay, this guy's mysterious, this guy's cool, let me see what he does. And then they go onto my YouTube and they're like, they just see the titles, because the titles are very polarizing, very like whatever. And they're like, no, I don't want to be associated with it. But did you watch the video? Did you see what the advice was? Did you see, you know what I mean? Because I've had these conversations where it's like, once you've explained yourself, like once you explain the rational thinking behind why you did the title, behind why you said that, behind why you said these things, it makes sense.
Yes.
And the advice for dating, it's very related to self-development, because that's what you do as a man. I always tell this to men. It's like, focus on becoming the guy, and the woman will come.
Absolutely.
Same with the money. Focus on becoming that man who's capable, and the money will come, because the value that you bring to society, that you bring to a woman's life, that's real, true value, right? And that's not going anywhere. You see a different guy, and it's literally because they invested in themselves, which they took the risk to go on the boot camp, which is sometimes quite expensive, as you probably know. But this is the area of their life they need to get fixed. And if you really, truly want to get it fixed, then you go to the best guys, right? You go to the guys who understand it, who've seen the patterns, who have done this for a long time. Because, me personally as well, I used to watch these videos of like James Tusk and Hamza and all these guys that I'm around now. I used to be like, oh no, it's fake, man. There's no way that let's go. I used to have the limiting beliefs in my own head.
Did you honestly think, it's like a setup?
You know what? When I first came across Cold Approach and all this stuff online and this game stuff, there's a lot of arguing opinions even in the space. Like you got the black pill, you got the red pill, you got all these different pills, and you're like, what's true, what's fake, right? You don't really know, right? And then I think it's just a matter of believing in yourself, having that faith, and going out and doing it. So this is exactly what I did. I went out and did approaches, spoke to thousands of women, saw the patterns, and I was like, eventually it makes sense.
Yeah.
There's some direction in the chaos that you can follow if you follow the right people, because there's people that have done the 1,000 approaches and they're like, okay, this girl's like this. I can just tell from looking at her. And my students come up to me and be like, how did you know that she studied psychology, all this stuff? I'm like, I just see patterns. I've just spoken to way more people than you. It's all volume.
Absolutely.
And there's a science behind it. There's methodology behind it. And I think many guys they come across this content and know it's fake. You got lucky. But how many times can you keep on getting lucky?
No,
before you realize that this guy's actually talented.
Absolutely, yeah. But I mean, what you said is like, you went out there and you've done the reps. You've spoken to like thousands of women, and that's ultimately that's what you need to do, because you can watch these dating coaches. You can think, is this guy legit? Is this guy not legit? And everything else. But in the end, you have to take the leap of faith and go and do it yourself.
Exactly.
And then you see. Like, it's only through doing it. It's only the fact that I've done it myself many, many times that I'm able to see what the reality, what isn't the reality. And ultimately, like, as you know, I mean, the socializing. It's not a game that can be played. You can't sit in your bedroom and learn it. No. You've got to actually go and do it.
It doesn't matter how many videos you watch.
Yeah,
I was guilty of this as well.
Yeah,
mental masturbation of just watching videos, thinking that I understand game, and then you go to talk to the girl, you're like, blah, 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 you start stuttering, and you don't know what to say, but that's just because you need a mentor, I think, as well. It's very important.
Yeah, I think one thing about it as well is it's also useful for guys to know that they're not actually maybe performing as badly as they think. Because a guy will be on a boot camp with a guy and he'll go and talk to a girl in the coffee shop, and then she'll kind of reject him, or so I've got a boyfriend. He's like, oh no, it's terrible. Yeah. And we can say, well, no, that's just like a normal that happens. That's just a normal reaction. It's not the end of the world. Just go on and repeat, do the same thing, and
you need iron skin, I think.
Exactly,
You need to face rejection, because I love this quote. I don't remember who I heard it from, but success is a string of failures. And that goes for everything. That goes for business. That goes for relationships. That goes for almost anything. You need to have that iron skin, and actually take risks and take those leaps. My friend actually, he mentioned this to me the other day. We were having this deep conversation, and he said, you know what? Before the self-belief, you need bravery.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's a very true fact, because you need to be brave enough to take that leap of faith. Many men, they say they have all these ideas, and I had all these ideas as well. And it was only after I started implementing them with the same speed as I had the idea that I really started to see my life change. It was the speed of implementation as well as the idea.
And would you say that counts in business as well as it?
100%, 100%. It was my 4th or 5th business that I started that actually I started to see some success from.
Right.
First 4 failed, but I had the delusion, I had the faith. I've always had the bravery, of doing the action, which is why I'm. People say they always tell me you're so young, but I don't see age as a number of years that you've been alive on this earth. Congratulations, you've just gone a year older, but what did you do with your life?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's all about experience.
Yes.
And people to tell me that I'm less than them because my age is younger than them, well, I ask them, how much experience do you have in this topic? How many businesses have you started and failed? How much money have you lost? How many women have you approached? How many times have you had your heart broken?
Yeah.
All these things they play into it, and that's why I've had students on boot camps who are double my age, who are CFOs of big businesses, crying in my shoulder, telling me how much of a life-changing experience they've had, because I've helped them see what they're possible of doing. I've helped highlight their own potential in their own head, And I always tell people this: it's like, if you don't have the self-belief yourself of yourself, how are you going to get other people to believe in you?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I've had a guy recently just saying to me, and I've had many guys talking about this, where it's like they want to approach a woman, and they know that once they get into the conversation, they're kind of okay.
Yeah.
Because some guys, they're quite socially
It's always
adept.
the open, isn't it?
It's the open. It's like, how do I get the thing that trips me up is I see the cute girl and I'm like, how do I get the courage to just go over? And I'm like, well, I don't know if there's a really robust answer to that, other than you've just got to do it. Do you know what I mean? You've just got to.
She'll tell you quick enough. She likes
Yeah,
you. She's still there. She likes you. If not, then you move on.
I don't know if there's a way to get over the initial feeling, because you're always going to feel some initial resistance.
Yeah.
It's just ultimately you have to be like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is to do with self-image as well. It's how do you see yourself? I have a lot of clients who are like successful software developers in high positions and lawyers and stuff like that, and then they're like, oh no, I can't approach this girl because I'm a lawyer, I'm this person. But this woman on the street doesn't know that. Well, and there's there's still a skill you need to improve, because it doesn't matter if you're a lawyer or a doctor, she's gonna reject you the same if you're just a nerd, if you're just a loser.
Well, it goes the other way as well, because I actually had a coffee the other day with a guy, super successful guy.
Right.
Really, really like top tier guy, decent looking, in shape, well dressed, all the rest of it. And even he was saying, I feel like, if I approach a girl, am I interrupting her? Am I going to annoy her or something like that? And it's like, man, you've got to think about it as like, I'm giving her the opportunity to meet me.
That's exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And it's the old thing about like, if you had an envelope with $1 million in it, you're going to give it to her. Would you be bothered about like interrupting her?
Of course.
You know.
The way I see it is like, it's like a king giving someone giving one of their servants the graciousness of speaking to them.
Yeah.
Like, she's getting a benefit from speaking to me. She doesn't know who I am. She doesn't know my value. She doesn't know who I know. I had a lot of these experiences in Dubai as well. I was there last year, and that's actually when I met Hamza as well.
Yes.
And I had a lot of these experiences because on the outside you just see a 5'8" Indian brown-looking guy, but you don't know what's inside of my head, and you don't know the value that I can bring. Because I was going to a party, for example. I don't mind name dropping a little bit.
Yeah.
But like Mike Tyson's son was going to be there, for example. Like, there's a lot of like people, like Love Island people, going to be there. And I know the value that I'm offering, because I've been given the task of finding beautiful women who want to come to this party to meet these cool people somewhere cool, right? And then I just know the value that I'm bringing. I'm like, okay, I'm offering any beautiful girl right now the opportunity to go to this party.
Yeah.
And then for me to cold approach in that moment, it was like nothing. It was like, I know I've got so much value. You're going to love this party. You're going to go to the Emirates. It's going to be an amazing party. And I had the opportunity, and that, like, it gave me an extra edge. So a lot of these Russian girls, for example, in Dubai, they think they're so supreme and all this stuff, and they see me and they just think Indian worker. That's just their mentality. They have in their head. But then I was able to bring some of these girls because the way I conveyed my value in the first 10 seconds of the approach was so advanced, so high level, and I did so much stuff that I've learned from years of doing this stuff that I was able to convey the value really quick. So despite how I was looking, despite the fact that I'm a 5'8" Indian guy, I was able to bring these beautiful women who were interested in me enough to trust me to take them to a party later that day. And that's stuff that many people wouldn't believe. Oh no, it's fake. It's da-da-da-da. He managed to do some trickery somehow. But no, it's just experience and understanding people.
Yes.
And I think that's what a beautiful thing about a lot of dating coaches that I meet is just the fact that they've spoken to so many people that have such a vast knowledge of human psychology. because you'll just get that naturally. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I had mentors to guide me, so I've been trained by some of the best coaches in the world.
Yes.
You know, dating coaches in the world, and I've learned things from them, so I've been able to get to the top of the tower, top of the mountain quicker, just because I've had the mentors and stuff, right? That's not to say that you can't do it on your own. Like, I know a lot of guys who just figured it out on their own. They just figured out how to date women, and it's funny when you compare notes with these guys. They're like, they'll come to the same realization as you. It's just like the way they got there was a bit different.
Yeah, it might take them longer as well, though. That's
of course. Yeah, this is why I recommend mentors.
I think mentorship is super important 100%. Because, and you know, and there's a contingent of people out there. They're like, dating coaching is a bit of a scam. It's a bit of a which obviously. I'm a dating coach, so I've got to say this, but I do completely disagree with it. And like, I was having this conversation with a friend of my girlfriend's actually the other week, and he was saying, "Well, come on, bro, you can just Google this stuff. What's the?" And it's like, you don't understand. Firstly, you don't understand. Some guys.
It's so deep, isn't it?
So, some guys, and probably I was one of them, and you know, some guys are lucky and they're kind of naturals. Okay, fine, whatever. But that's kind of a fairly small minority. Then you've got a bunch of guys, and then you got a bunch of guys who are kind of like, they're kind of. They're switched on enough, and they kind of figure it out. They maybe get a girlfriend. It's not a big deal for them. But then I've noticed there's this pool of other guys, and they just, for whatever reason, they just don't seem to. No. Something's not connected. You know, and they really need mentorship, or they really benefit from mentorship, because even if they did get themselves out there and they were approaching and they were doing 100 approaches a week or something like that, they'd still probably be making the same mistakes and repeating the same mistakes. And you need somebody to look at you and say, no, hang on a minute, that's just not working very well for you, man. You know, you need to smile more, you need to smile less, you need to stop being so much of a dog.
So much stuff.
You know, there's so many nuances, you know?
It's so much, and the thing is, you can only really, like, fast track your way there through a mentor. That's what I realized as well. That's why, I'm young. I'm 26, for those of you who don't know. And
you have a very sort of wise soul, though.
I always say that as well, but I think it's because I was never afraid. I always knew my value. I was always delusional.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, of course. All the successful people I meet now, they're all delusional as well, same as me. And I'm like, that's why I knew I was on the right path. It's just a matter of meeting that person. Keeping your delusion long enough for you to actually benefit from it. Because a lot of people that have the delusion, I think I'm great. And then their friend tells them something and it brings them back to ground zero. They lose all the self-belief and they're like, oh no, maybe that YouTube stuff isn't for me, or maybe this path isn't for me. Maybe my dream's too big, because their parents are also, living a normal 9-to-5 life, and they're like, oh no, I come from nothing. But it's always, it's always delusional people that I see at the top. I think there's a coincidence. There's a correlation there. Sorry.
Well, actually, there was I don't know if you know that blogger. There was a blogger called Chateau Hartiste who it was only written stuff. It was never YouTube, and or Royce, I think it was his other name, and it was really good stuff. A lot of it was stuff about, broadly speaking, how to be a bit more of a jerk, like cheeky, funny, kind of like all bad boy stuff. But also, he would talk a lot about, he said one of the most important attributes is delusional self-confidence. And it's really, really true, because the guy who walks in and just thinks, I'm God's gift, is just going to get more traction than the dude who walks in who's like, I'm a piece of shit, or, please like me.
Exactly.
And it's just, now, objectively, whether it's true or not, he might still be on his journey. We're all still on a path of self-development, so he may still have a long way to go. But if you walk in as if, hey, I'm the shit, girls, you're going to just get people, they're going to buy into that, or a lot of them are going to buy into that,
Of course. I always tell guys this advice. I always like, when you're speaking with a guy, I'm chilling with you, right? So for me, it's like, I know where I know my weaknesses. I know I need to hit the gym a bit more. And there's a few things that I know. I'm not a 10 out of 10 yet in my head.
Yeah.
But when I speak to a girl, or a girl that I'm interested in, that switches. I'm instantly a 10 out of 10.
Absolutely.
Because you need to have 100% confidence that you are the guy, because girls are very good with social dynamics.
Yes,
they don't need game. They're really bored. They've been getting hit on since the age of 14
already.
They've been getting hit on since the age of 14. They know a real G when they see one.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, if you have a little bit of chink in your armor where you just have a little bit of self-confidence, she'll understand that from just the way you speak to her, the way you look at her, the way little thing. That's why you say smile a little bit more, smile a little bit less.
Yeah,
those are all things that a guy who's already confident, who already had it in his head, he's already doing that.
Yes.
But a guy who's unconfident, unsure about himself, is going to smile less, smile more. He's going to do weird things. He's going to stutter because he doesn't have the confidence in himself, and the girl can instantly tell that, and that's why she's not attracted to you. You need to have zero chinks in your armor, because a small little chink, she's going to feel that.
I think that's a really good point. It's like, yes, on the one hand, we got to almost divide it into two. On the one hand, yes, self-development, I want to work on my finances, I want to work on my fitness, there's all these aspects, whatever it is, my fashion, we got to divide it into two parts. So on the one hand, yes, self-development is real, and we all need to be self-developing, and I don't think there's an end to that journey. I think everybody's got, everybody can step up. So, money, muscles, game, frame, fitness, money, finances, all that, career, all that stuff. yes, on the one hand, you've got to be honest with yourself and like, right, these are the areas I need to work on, fine.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, when you're interacting with women, it's like all of that goes out the window. No, I'm a fucking G.
Yeah,
You know, for the purposes of this
That's
interaction,
it.
I'm a fucking G.
That's it.
And the other thing as well, I think you could lean into potential as well, because even if
Yes.
you're not, you know, you're not making Andrew Tate money yet,
Yeah.
if you know inside
You're gonna
I'm
make
going
it.
to get there,
Yeah.
then it's almost like that's good enough.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
Yeah,
so
100%.
when you walk into the girl, you know, no, I'm a fucking G.
Yeah.
She's like, well, where's your Bugatti? It's like, well, you know, that's
It's
irrelevant.
coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And it's the same thing with me. Like when I send a DM out to a girl and she doesn't respond,
Yeah.
a lot of guys are like, oh, I'm not going to send in DMs anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore.
Mm.
I'm like, listen, she's going to know my value in 5-10 years. I know I'm a G right now. It's whether she jumps on the train right now or
Yeah.
she jumps on in 10 years when she's like, oh, I remember when you messaged me.
Mm.
But at
Yeah.
that point, it's too late, right? At that point,
Exactly.
and I already know that. I already know where I'm heading. So it's like, for me, it's not an issue when someone doesn't see my value straight away, because I know my value in my head already. You know, you
Yeah.
don't need to tell me. I don't need validation from you or this girl that, oh yeah, I'm this guy. I don't need that.
Exactly.
And I think it's a lot of guys they stop approaching because of that reason as well. They're like, oh no, once I get my value up, once I make more money, then I'll approach. Then the girl will see my value. But even then, you're still a nerd, bro. You're still like, you haven't worked in the social skill. You've just been on your laptop coding for the last 8-10 years.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh yeah, once I make 200K, then I'm gonna approach and then she's gonna love me, because that's what my mum told me. But they don't realize that you need to be a G in all areas, if you like.
Yeah.
You need to be working on the social dynamics, social understanding. At the same time, you're working on the business stuff.
Mm.
It combines to become the overall G.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to have a holistic approach. We spoke about that the other day
Holistic
as well.
approach, yeah.
And I like to bring this example up as well. It's like when a guy has very little minimal experience with a girl. Say if you only had been with a couple girls, right?
Mm.
Let's bring it in pizza terms. You've only had 2 pizzas in your life.
Mm.
When you go to order the next pizza, so to say that when you go to approach a girl, you're going to be very careful on how you do that, right? Because you've only been with 2 pizzas. You've only had 2 pizzas in the past.
Yeah.
So the third pizza is going to be a big step. It's like, whoa, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
it's a big thing in your mind.
Yeah.
When you've had 500 pizzas, how important is interaction? How important is ordering a pizza? It's every day. I just do it every day.
Yeah.
It's natural to me.
Exactly.
Because it's just, I don't have this imagination in my head of the current situation is more important than it is. And that's what most guys have. They think, oh, if I get rejected, that's a blow to my ego. I can't approach anymore because oh, this girl's not going to like me, or my hair's off today.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But it's just you haven't had enough pizzas yet, my friend.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to have more pizzas.
But it's really hard, isn't it, for the dude who's in that position?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
To sort of mentally think himself out of it. But what I found is that the less
You think about
the
it.
less outcome dependent you are, the
yeah,
better.
that's another one.
Because then you get to a point
Yeah.
of like, you know, you're just like, I really don't give a shit if she's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I got to a point where, you know, I would arrange dates with girls and I'm kind of, oh, I hope she flakes. Did I say this the other night? Like, I hope she flakes on me. I hope she doesn't turn up because I want to I've got some work to do. I want to do something else. And then she does, oh shit, she hasn't flaked. She hasn't turned up.
That's always
You know,
the issue. Yeah,
and
it's like, yeah.
It's kind of the, I'm not blowing smoke up my own arse here, but it's kind of the opposite of, like a lot of guys, they're like, oh my god, I hope she doesn't flake.
shows up.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck, she's got to turn up this day. And it's like, if you can reverse that, it's almost like, fuck, I hope she fucks off because I've got other more important stuff to do.
You're on your
What
purpose.
you find is, it's just, it must be something you're transmitting, but it's just like people are more drawn to you, you know?
Yeah, and I think the reason for that, I think the psychological reason for girls as well, is they don't want to be chased
Yes.
as well, right?
Mm.
So if you're a guy and you're desperate, you convey that even if you don't know it through the way you text, through the way you talk to her, through the way, how much you want her on the date. If you're just like, oh, 7 p.m. my house, wine on the balcony, you show up, you don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be busy either way. You know,
Exactly,
if it's not,
yeah,
it's not going to be you, it's going to be another girl. This is another little actionable thing that I tell guys as well. Is when you actually do want to go on a date. Like, say if you just have, you've been working so hard, you need a date. I generally will schedule 3 girls at the same time. Because then one of them's because you got 1 in 3 chance of her flaking.
Yeah.
If you schedule 3 girls, your chances go way up.
Mm.
You know, so that if I really want to date that day, I'll just get three dates to be booked that day. Notice I didn't say I booked my own dates because that's a different thing. I've got a whole system. I think I told Troy about that.
Yeah.
But that's that's advanced stuff for people who are really like seeking that. But generally, I would say and the thing is, I think a lot of guys get that one-itis as well. They're like, oh, I hope this date goes well. I hope she's the one. Da, da, da. I never put that pressure on a date.
No.
At all, ever.
No.
Yeah, she shows up, she doesn't. I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to live how I do. If she doesn't show up, oh, perfect. 3 more hours of work for me.
Exactly.
If she does show up, then okay, cool. Guess what on the date,
Well, I think Jocko Willink has got this concept called that good concept, where, I don't know if you're familiar, but like he basically, James Tusk showed me a short video of this, and he's basically like, whatever happens to you, it's like good.
Yeah.
So the girl shows up, good. Girl doesn't show up, good.
I love that. Yeah.
It's raining, it starts raining, like good.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Your train's cancelled, you've got to fucking walk back, good. Everything's good because
that.
it's an opportunity for growth.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. I think people get disheartened when they have failures, and I think the main thing, if I could transmit one thing in someone's head, if I could just hope they see the world from my perspective one time, failure is part of it.
It is.
It's the journey. As people say, always people when they get to the top, they always say enjoy the journey, because I remember the times. And people, I think people tune it out now because they've heard it so many times, but it really is true, right?
It is.
Like, think about the moments that you had coming up on the way there more than the moments that you had once you're there already.
Yeah.
Because like AT says, like the reason that money is valuable to him, the reason he enjoys it is because he remembers the come up. He remembers when he had nothing and now he has everything.
Yes.
And it's the comparison of that which makes him feel like, oh, this is worth it.
Yeah,
and that's
for
the
sure.
beauty of it, right? It's the acceleration that you feel in life, right? It's not the once you're cruising at 120, you're at 120. But it's the acceleration from 30 to 120. Those moments that you have, they're the best. They're moments that you speed into a car.
Well, the best also as well from the dating, just the purely dating perspective. The best bits are when you start to get some breakthroughs. Do you know what I mean? Like you think. I mean, I remember because I went from being pretty introverted, pretty shy, not particularly great with girls.
Me too.
Not particularly great with girls. I mean, I had some interest from some girls in school, but I always fancied the one who didn't like me, and all this kind of crap. And then it started to come into play for me in my late teens, like 20s.
Yeah.
And and then I started to systematize it more after I read the game and so on. And it's sort of like when you start to get some wins and you start to actually make things happen for yourself. And it's not even necessarily she sleeps with you or whatever, but it could be that you can see
she was interested.
You can see the interest. You can, or maybe she says she got a boyfriend and she genuinely has got a boyfriend, but she's like, hey man, this was so cool that you came, and you can see those small shoots of recovery, and then you're like, fuck, this is actually something's working here, something's connecting, and then you kind of build on that momentum. 100%. But I guess it's difficult for the guy who's just sitting in his bedroom and he's like, I'm not getting any dates, I can't get anything on Tinder, nothing's happening for me. It's quite hard for that guy to think, well, actually, okay, this is all just part of the journey, and I know. Like, how do you? Is that a mindset thing to then think, oh, how am I going to get to this abundance?
Yeah. I always say that as well. It's like you start to trust your gut more when your gut's right.
Yes.
But the only way you can get there is if you trust your gut, which is the hard part. Because many people, they trust their dad's opinion or their mom's opinion or what their uncle said, and they follow life that way. They're like, oh, my uncle said I need to do software development to earn loads of money, and and his life looks all right. So let me just learn that. And then they get there and they're like, oh, wait, that wasn't what I wanted. Because you had this friction the whole time. You wanted to do something else. Your family, your peers said this is the right path for you. And because you had low faith in yourself, you chose to go down that route. Whereas if you had gone down this route, and even if you had failed, you would still have had a more rich life because you would have followed it on your own terms,
Yeah,
you would have lived it by what you want to do. And I think that's important. And like of course, the wins help, right? So when you start winning, when you start getting more success, you start to realize, oh wait, I might be that guy,
Yeah.
And I remember this very, very, very clearly for myself actually, because I'm not that far away from where I was. As in the sense that my age wise, right? Like, I was very bad at this stuff at 18.
Okay.
I seek coaching from a lot of people. I was around a lot of dating coaches at the time, like working for them as a videographer and stuff. So I was getting all this advice for the next 5 years. That's all I did, just being around, working with dating coaches, as their assistants sometimes, as their coaches sometimes, as a videographer sometimes, just been in the space for a while, so you pick up those things. But it's like once, I remember a specific moment when I was writing field reports at the end of the night in Toronto, and I had wrote down, wow, this girl, she was really into me, I didn't end up sleeping with her or whatever, but she was into me the whole time. You know what I mean? And then there was another day in Toronto where I had been on a date with a girl. I had an amazing time. Right after the date, I dropped her off, and then I saw this other girl coming out of the nightclub, and I just approached her. Beautiful mixed race girl in Toronto, and then she was so into me straight away, because she maybe smelled it on me. I don't know what it was. It's like they could smell the confidence, whatever it was, and then she came straight over as well. So I just said goodbye to one girl and brought this other girl over. And, long story short, this was the start of my thing, so I didn't end up doing anything with her. But the fact that she came over, that was such an amazing thing for me, because at this point, I'm still writing field reports of what I could do better, how should I improve, how many sets did I do, how many of them talked to me. I'm still doing all this stuff, right? And I remember I felt on top of the world at that point, because I was like, it's paying off. I'm seeing the potential, And that was the start of the journey of me trusting my gut instinct more, trusting my feelings more. When I see a girl and I think I can approach, or she seemed open, I go for it, That was the start of that. Now I'm I feel like I'm a killer. I have to talk to anyone and get some IOIs from them, And then now it's at a point where I don't even give my social medias out. I just do it for the fun of the game. I'm in this coffee shop as well. I just talk to everyone, talk to girls, talk to guys. I just like speaking with people because it gives me data. And sometimes I like to tell my friends, I like to drive a girl crazy. I like to flirt with her in the moment and then say, you know what, I'm not even going to give you my Instagram. Go find it.
Yeah.
I just walk away like a mysterious, I put my shades back on, you know?
Yeah.
It's just fun for me,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
She's thinking about me, she's coming back to the same places that I'm at. And it's like, follow me. It's just fun for me. But I think it takes a while to get there. And I think the way that I got there so quick was I had the right mentors. Even if in the moment I didn't realize what it was.
Yes.
I had the right mentors. I had guys who understood things about business, things about life, things about women that I was able to learn from.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, because just on the dating coaching thing again, it's like there were certain things I think are quite counterintuitive in dating that I just really needed to have pointed out to me. Now, whether it was I read it in a book or I read it, or you know, and we shit on watching too much theory a little bit, but I mean, it's good to watch.
100%.
It's good to watch videos.
100%.
It's good to read blogs and whatever. And there was some stuff that I probably just wouldn't have thought of on myself. I mean, all the counterintuitive stuff, like basically
logic and emotion. That's guys won't have logic, women are emotion.
Yeah, I think broadly speaking, what a lot of guys will tend to do is be too supplicating to women. You know, it's a classic thing, isn't it? Oh, she's got ass, oh, she's on a pedestal. How can I make her like me and everything? And you need to flip that totally on his head.
It's a whole yes.
Yeah.
Hope she sees through me.
Yeah.
Like,
And you want to just completely flip that mentally. So it's like, hey, listen, I'm going to give her the chance to get with me, but you know, is she going to make the cut or not? You know,
that's it.
That's when you start to operate in that headspace.
Yeah.
Then it starts to make all the difference.
Yeah, it does. And I had a day when I realized this. I literally remember the day. It was in Finland. I was with VK, and I remember like I had learned this in the seminar on the day of like pushing her away.
Yes.
Pushing her away, keep pushing her away, and then at night I got to try this in the club, and then there was this beautiful Finnish girl, and I was like, "There's no chance that I'm gonna have a shot, but let me just go do the approach anyway."
Yeah.
And I did the approach, and then I don't know what it was, but there was something that about me. I was like, okay, let me try that push away thing. I was just like trying to ignore her and stuff.
Yeah.
And the whole night she was like trying to get my validation. She was trying to prove herself to me, getting closer to me, you know, doing things that, you know, and I was just like, I'm not interested. Just kept pushing her away. Maybe I did it too much, but I remember that day, and I remember it so vividly of how just one tweak in the way I think about interactions was able to make such a big, colossal impact.
Yes.
In my life in that moment. That was like, wow.
But yeah, no, exactly.
You know?
And I had a similar thing actually one time. I remember years ago, it was this girl, like it was a group friend of a friend, and I've been like chatting to her, flirting to her a bit and stuff in a social context. And then everyone went to this club, like a few days later, and I just completely blanked the girl, and I was just talking to everyone else. And then the girl's coming up to me, and she's just like really, you know, really attractive, like American girl, you know, good, wealthy family, like kind of stuff. And she's like trying to get my validation, and you know, and then you realise, oh, this stuff actually, it actually works. But it's quite counterintuitive from a guy who's brought up in like a nice guy paradigm.
In a logical mindset, right?
Yeah.
In a logical paradigm. Because if your 9 to 5 is you're being logical as a software developer, you're coding every single day, everything runs on logic. Your whole life is based on logic because you're a guy, you're single. Like, let me optimize my life. Coders love to do this. Let me optimize my life to help it run better. So you're coming from a logical mindset, and then when a girl asks you a question, the logical answer is to answer the question. So she says, "Where are you from?" The logical thing to do is say, "Oh yeah, I'm from Serbia."
Yes.
But the what I would suggest guys to do is say guess, make it more fun, make it playful, make it emotional, because she's running off emotion right now. She's not looking for the answer. She's looking to see if you're the guy who's gonna fulfill her mentally, right? So if you don't even understand that you need to be emotional with the girl and not logical, you don't need to just answer the question, because that kills the whole interaction. She asks you a question, you answer, boom. There's nothing else.
Yes.
So if you say guess, oh, she has to get involved now. She has to guess. She has to look at you. You say, look at my eyes. Have a little moment with her. Let me see your palm. Let me read it. It's like little things, you know what I mean? It's just like you're bringing out the emotional side of her, which is exactly what she wants a guy to do. And at the end of it, she's like, "Oh wait, I didn't really find out where you're from because you've already switched the topic. Now there's mystery there as well." And
Exactly.
I'm like, "Oh, where's this guy from?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like you're literally just playing the game in the sense that you understand what she's looking for out of the out of this conversation. She's trying to find a guy who's cool, who understands her, who's playful, who's fun, and you have to try and be that. But if you're not that, you've got to learn that. And how do you learn that? The quickest way is to get a mentor, right?
Yeah.
The quickest way is to hire someone who's better than you in the skill that you're trying to improve in, and pay them. So fast track me, because this is Alex Ramosi said this. It's very beautiful. It's like you can make your potential right now, Troy, is to make $1 million a month, right? Every month that you don't know how to make that $1 million, you're losing $1 million a month.
Yeah, it's opportunity cost.
Because that's opportunity cost, right? So it's better for you, if you have the money, just to pay someone $10,000 to say, okay, teach me how to make $1 million a month. And a lot of people, they don't believe the hype, because there's a lot of fraudsters online. I don't blame them. They have to be very careful with who they pay the money to. You know, I recommend that as well. If you're going to pay money to someone, know that they're verified, know that they're bona fide, know they have the receipts. You know? But when you do find someone like that, which I've been lucky enough to meet, met these guys who are actual, true, like marksman killers in the space that I'm hiring them for. You can learn so much quicker, and you can just exponentially get to the point that you would have been in 5 years had you had not. Had you had gone try and do it on your own. You know, it might have taken you 10 years to do that. But if you just hire someone who's better than you with that, boom, you're already on his level.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating you say that, and I can really see it in my niche, which happens to be the dating niche, because I know for a fact, because like there's some of the stuff you're talking about. It's very counterintuitive. For a dude who's been brought up in a normal mainstream paradigm to think, oh, what? So I go to the club and then I just ignore the girl? Like, how does that work? Like, how does that work?
You say that, it's crazy, right?
Like, you're like, shouldn't I just go up to her and be super nice and tell her how pretty she looks? That's the logical, obvious thing. But of course, you know, what we find is that actually the opposite works. Right, and then like you said, you know, she asked me a question. Well, should I just tell her the answer? She's asked me the question, but like you said, there's a whole subtext to it, which is, yes, on one level, she's asked you where you're from, and she, you know, that might be mildly interesting, but she doesn't really want that. What she really wants is, are you the guy who's gonna tease me and make me excited, and I can have fun with, and it's all the rest.
And also, I think some coaches that I do like, they're natural as well, in the sense that they would know that the answer is to say yes.
Yes.
You know? But they wouldn't be able to explain that in a logical way. So how I explain that logically is I say, look, it's conversational branching. She's asking you this question. How can you keep the playful banter alive? And also keep the conversation going? It's by branching off to something else. Just keep branching. So if you say the answer, that's not branching.
Then
that's
it's like
very logical. It's like a line. It's the end of the conversation. If you branch it to guess, now we're going to talk about different places, and you can guess where she's from, and you can talk about different countries that you've been to. So if she's, for example, I get like, when I say guess to a girl, sometimes it's Israel, Morocco. Oh, that's funny that you said that. I get that quite a bit, Israel, actually, but I don't know why. It's in my eyes, it's in my nose, and now you're on a different topic right now, completely. And actually going to talk about that. But then she still doesn't know where you're from, so you're keeping the mystery alive. You're keeping that whole for another day, maybe. You know, she might be like, oh, I had a great date with that guy, but wait, he never told me where he's from. I need to see him again. This is find out.
This is something I think we talked about the other night, which is the whole date strategy. Because once you've actually got them out and you got their number, and then you're sitting down, and you're on the date with them. I mean, then what do you do? And for me personally, I think a mistake a lot of guys will make is that it's very linear, it's very logical. It's like, okay, so what do you do? Well,
they make an interview.
Well, I'm a middle manager, and I'm hoping to make partner in the next 3 years. And then it's all very.
What do you do for work? That's the next question.
Yeah. And it's like you need to, in my opinion, you need to blow all of that out of the water and just go for it, go for emotion. Now, if she says, "What do you do for work?" I mean, and even before I was doing this, I was doing corporate work, and I would be like, "Yeah, but I do some, I do some corporate, I do some finance stuff." But anyway, enough about that. Tell me more about you.
Exactly.
Because firstly, I don't want to talk too much about work anyway, because it's kind of boring. And secondly, I want to retain a bit of mystery. Do you know what I mean? Because if I say to her, "Well, I'm a middle manager," and
it gives it away.
It's just like, oh right, okay, well that's a bit boring. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing left.
And I think every guy, they make that mistake because then as soon as you've made it an interview where you're sitting across from her and not adjacent to her, where you
need to be adjacent.
So it's another little tip, guys. If you don't know, now you know. Sit adjacent. Never in front of the girl. Never make it an interview. But as soon as you've made it an interview, now she's already put you in a box. Now you're the corporate guy, and there's no sexual chemistry now.
Or she might put you in the potential boyfriend box. And then it's like, okay, right, we're going to go on 6 days.
But it's a placeholder boyfriend, though.
Exactly. What you really want to be doing is I'm sure maybe you agree, maybe you don't. I think you want to be presenting as the lover first. It's like I'm the hot, super sexy, kind of exciting guy that she's going to want to have. Get
a leather jacket.
Exactly. Yeah, man. Where she's want to get intimate with, and then once you sort of accomplish that, then you can think, okay, so where do I want to take this? Is she cool? Maybe we do start dating. Maybe we do get married. Whatever. But it's like you need to get that attraction in place first.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I think most guys go about it the wrong way. They make all their dates too logical, as if they're talking to their friends, but they don't realize that she's looking for something completely different. She's not there for an interview. She's there to find someone long term, short term, whatever it is, whatever you're there for. But after like 3 months of the dating stage, they're going to start saying, where are we? What are we doing? And at that point, I say, you know what? I personally recommend guys being honest from the start, in the sense that tell her who you are and be honest with, because you don't want to break a girl's heart. I don't like breaking girls' hearts. If I have a certain life, I'm going to tell her, if she asks a question, if she tells me, are you seeing someone else? I usually would recommend guys be honest in that moment. But that's only if you can handle the fact that you know, she might not be okay. Because some girls aren't okay with it, you know.
Yeah.
Some girls will move on from that. They don't.
They're just not going to have.
That's fine, you know. I understand the kind of girls that I'm attracting right now, you know.
Mm.
And at a later date, I might want to be looking for a wife and gain a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Justin Waller was talking a lot. You know Justin Waller?
Yeah, of course,
yeah.
Have you met him? Or?
I met him, a couple of times actually. Yeah, he's a nice guy. But I mean, he was talking a lot about this like last year or couple of years, last couple of years, where he was basically saying, look, I mean, he's a non-monogamy type guy.
Yeah.
And he was basically saying, look, you've got to be upfront. And you say to her, look, you know, I fucking love you. You're the top of the tree.
Yeah.
For me, you're my queen. Whatever it is. However,
I love that. Yeah.
from time to time, maybe, and you know, and he's setting out his stall very, very early on, which is fine.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody's going to be, ultimately going to be into that, because I think,
Yeah.
you know, we talked about. I mean, I think ultimately maybe some of us will you know, we want to be in monogamous relationships, and that's cool as well.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think being upfront about it.
Yeah.
But you have to establish it early.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because you can't really 2 years down the line go, oh, actually.
Yeah, you can't change your mind. It's got to be from the start.
Yeah.
But I say, like, obviously after experience, guys will get to the point where, you know, they're comfortable with having a rotation. They're used to it. It's normal to them. They realize the value they bring, and they're not having this one-itis problem of like, oh, this girl's so special. I'm gonna make sure I do everything to keep her. Because after you've had one pizza, you know what a pizza tastes like. You know what I mean? Or you had 100 pizzas. You're like, okay, yeah, pizza's this. It's cool, but I'd rather work. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know what it is, right? And I think a lot of guys, they put the girls way too high on a pedestal, and that also messes up the dynamic of the relationship, because, you know, the girl needs to be chasing you as well, number one. She needs to be in your frame, and you leading her, because then that's when she's going to be the happiest, right?
Yes.
It's only when they feel loved, and they feel these emotions, and they feel like they can be real with you, that they can sort of open up to you and have you as their comforter, have you as the rock.
Yes.
You know, but they can't imagine you as the rock if every night you're crying to them about all the problems you're having. And, you know what I mean? Because if she doesn't trust you, she's like, this guy's unstable. I've got to find someone else. Because, like, subconsciously, they look at some. And if you're a guy who's going to come home and give her problems and talk to her about all the problems that you're having in your own life and your business life and your friends and all this stuff, and you make her your best friend, that kills the attraction there, because you've made her a friend now. And a lot of relationships, I think, they suffer, man. That's why they're getting divorced, because they've made their partner into a friend.
Yeah.
And the girl can no longer be in her feminine, because she needs to be in a masculine, because she doesn't trust you're going to keep the boat afloat.
Yes.